Hey everybody, it's Brian here. I hope you're all having a good holiday season. Uh, the New Year's are coming up, and it made me think of the baseball season that's going to be upon us soon. 2019, spring training is going to be beginning already in just a few months. And so it made me think of my top 10 wishes for the 2019 baseball season. Now, these are in no way things I have legitimate hopes for. So don't think that I think any of these things are realistic whatsoever. So with that said, let's get to the actual list of my top 10 wishes for baseball in 2019. Number one is to stop replacing the park every couple of years. I think that kids have little opportunity to develop sentimental attachments that fans may have had to like Fenway or the original Yankee Stadium that they had in those parks that were around for multiple family generations. It's easy to forget your park's name if it's named after a faceless corporation, especially one with nothing to do with the game or your team. Um, Number two on this list is going to be it's also really annoying how everything has been mummified in sponsorships recently. Like on the bats, you look behind your batter and you see an ad for Dignity Health or Kragen's or something. It's really annoying how everything is constantly wrapped in advertisements. My park is called AT&T Park. I mean, I can't really complain about anyone else's team. AT&T Park is played with an ad behind the catcher and one wrapped around the batter's bat. Every park is guilty of this, and I guess there's little to be done considering the size of sports contracts often being over $250 million nowadays. They couldn't pay if they weren't shoving those ads down our throats as fans, I guess. Um, Number three is one of the longer entries on the list. I think I have some pretty good points for this one. This is one of the ones that I really wish for the strongest. And that's that they would move the fences back. Uh, Everybody loves home runs, but real fans, in my opinion at least, love competitive ball games and players that get a chance to get inducted into the Hall of Fame or maybe to get their jersey number retired by their team. Uh, this really can't happen in a game where every pitcher just throws 100 miles an hour for like 2 years in an impressive set of peak seasons, and then they burn out like Otani on the Angels or Tim Lincecum did on the Giants. This pressure, especially on late inning relievers, is a big reason why everybody's throwing so hard, and there's so many Tommy John surgeries nowadays. Why it's risen so dramatically. It seems careers are shorter and more often a sharp pointed peak that people are impaling their healths on carelessly, just caring about the big money contracts they get. I bet you're wondering what I'm getting at with the fence thing. But I was thinking that by moving the fences back, I was thinking that this could allow them to drop the velocities without slanting the game in favor of the offense, uh, because they wouldn't be having slower pitches and closer in fences. So it shouldn't theoretically be an easier game to hit home runs in, at least not as far as I can see. If fences were farther back like they used to be in the dead ball era, this would bring us back to back to lower levels of home runs. Like, Ty Cobb finished his career with 117 home runs. Uh, this may also lower the steroid scandals if they don't think that they can get the ball to travel far enough by just powering it over the fence. Then maybe they wouldn't be shooting up blood doping vials full of bull semen or something. If we even things out a little bit, then pitchers may not be throwing 103, but they would certainly last longer than 3 years. Um, that's all I have to say about that. Um, Okay, number three on this list is going to be to get rid of the second wild card. Um, I think the playoffs kind of sucked in 2018, to be completely honest with you. They were really forgettable, and no interesting teams really made it. Uh, it's not like it was before when there was the honor and the prestige of winning the division just to get in the door. With almost half the overall teams making it, there's practically no prestige now, in my opinion. Number five is one of the least possible ideas on the list, but one of the ones that I kind of most hope for, and that's a salary cap. This is the, like I said, probably least possible, but most helpful idea. It would be a huge step forward in cutting back on the amount of ads everywhere. I don't think that I'm not aware of the amount of the spending that's just because of greedy old men in suits. Um, I don't blame the players entirely for it by any means. I know it's the corporate MLB absorbs a lot of that money. But imagine a team's budget not being cut, but the salaries that pretentious D-bags uh, taking up $300 million. Imagine that getting cut back. Imagine the dream teams you could hire if you had the Yankees budget without Giancarlo Stanton's salary. You could hire some pretty impressive diversities of players. Not that he's not very talented in his own right, but imagine if it wasn't all taken up on a couple of different guys. Number six is going to be to add the designated hitter to the National League. I think it would make the game a little bit more consistent between the leagues. The pinch hitter, or sorry, the pitcher at bats are pretty boring because they always end in a bunt or in a pinch hitter, like I was about to say. This leaves more bench resources in the alternate way because you don't have to waste a pinch hitter predictably every game on on the pitcher. I keep feeling like I'm repeating myself. But yeah, this leaves more bench resources open, and especially with the bullpen taking up more of the 25-man roster every year by year, I think, like with teams like the Rays having opener pitchers to start the game, uh, and those pitchers are beginning the game like without even a starting pitcher. It's kind of crazy. I think that having extra resources would be good. Also, it's more roles for teams to hire pitchers or sorry players that may be a little bit less talented defensively. Since there's interleague anyways, and they play each other anyways, should probably be the same. I think. I guess you could make that point either way, but I think that considering DH has been around now for quite a while in its own right, I think the NL should drop the whole tradition argument and yeah, let's just make things consistent. Okay, number seven here is going to actually be to let women play. There's a WNBA. Since there's very little physical contact in the MLB, even the conservative viewpoints that say things like men and women should not compete physically, they don't make a whole lot of sense because this isn't the spikes and tackling the catcher era like Ty Cobb and Honus Wagner. All this in mind, why not let women play at an equal level in 2019? They don't have some physical impediment that holds them back against playing against men. Um, let's take the times for what they are, for God's sake. Why has this not already been implemented, such as, things like the color barrier being broken? I know that this is one of the more controversial ideas on the list, but I think that it would be interesting to turn on the series in 2019 and to see what had changed. To see, a female umpire, a female manager, perhaps even a female pitcher or closer. I always think of my favorite World Series memory is Fear the Beard. I don't know, but I could take Fear the Ponytail or something like that. Whatever it was, I think it would be interesting to see those changes implemented and to see the last lines that we have remaining to get broken down. Number eight on here is to involve more fan votes in the Hall of Fame inductions. Who are the guys and where are the guys that get to vote? Why do they get to pick the best of the best? Did they even play the game? There's so many men that get no ceremony, and they have to wait for some bizarre veterans committee to induct them via a newspaper article that nobody will ever read or some obituary size thing. Uh, I don't understand why we're honoring them so little, you know. Uh, the people whose cheers, claps, and dollar bills power this train called baseball deserve to have a say, don't you say? Um, Number 9 on this list is going to be no more interleague. I think it makes the World Series games much less special. Before, they were a special series of games, a special set of games that were the only ones of their kind. You know, they were the best of uh, the best team in each league. You know, um, why is it now that it doesn't even really matter anymore? This series specifically, there's dozens of other faceless, forgettable games that they play every year. You know, between the Oakland A's and the San Diego Padres or something like that. You know, it makes the idea of a divisional race, more close fought and more tough of a rivalry, I think, rather than wasting a handful of series on teams from another league that you won't see again. Play rivalry games at home with the crowd roaring for their pitcher. Isn't that a better game than some weird Thursday afternoon mock spring training thing against the LA Angels? Um, I would think so. Number 10 on here is going to have, uh, this is another very unrealistic one, but to have game analysis between innings instead of advertisements. Having to watch a commercial every single inning, especially on like a 3 pitch out or something, it's unbearable. It's like watching ads on YouTube between songs on the same playlist. Imagine if instead there was an actual intelligent discussion or analysis of the game they just played, like the pitch selection, you know? What if you heard about the pitch selection instead of the fast food selection? You know, I think that that would be much more interesting. Um, yeah, these are just my overall like highest hopes that I could possibly set. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to the game, whatever it turns out to be next year. In 2019, looks like the Giants are probably gonna rebuild in some capacity. They haven't been very impressive in the last couple of years. They haven't made the playoffs in quite a while, and looks like they're gonna have to trade either Baumgartner or some key players that you know, Buster Posey's starting to get a little older and a little bit more injury prone. Um, and a lot of the other players from before are either aged out of their prime, or they've been traded off and just left on the left on the free agent market. You know, look at how Pablo Sandoval is just a bench player. He used to be an all-star. Um, and you know, Matt Cain, I think he retired, didn't he? Um, anyways, with all this stuff in mind, I hope I didn't piss anyone off too much. Um, and I hope that you guys respond with your own top 10s below. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. Bye.